Good afternoon, Light Family. I decided to come on early today. Um, Today's topic is manifestation knows how to treat the woman quite naturally. Um, when we get into understanding just how our lives have been affected as Black people, we can see where a lot of our misguided uh, energy has been utilized as part of our destruction as a group, as a whole. And there are some things that we have to understand. Like I'm always pointing out the principles we have within ourselves and how we were taken away from that, how we were taken away from it. And how we were taken away from them. And I talked about many a times about how they went about and to do that. See, how they went about robbing us of who we are and replacing it, because like I said about the two worlds colliding, it's pretty much wiping out our world and feeding us a more dominant imbalance, basically feeding us imbalance and making us think that that imbalance is who we are. But we're not that imbalance. Like I said before about Black and the white, the psychology behind it. It's to get our minds to want to be white, to want to be this so-called purity that only has a meaning to man. But if you try to go above and far beyond man, which is our hopes to reach above than just mere mortals, we have to understand our unseen light, our unseen light. There's a seen light, which is white, that only exists in the physical. As long as we have the two eyes, then we're inside the body, inside this prison. That's what we're going to see is white light. But that light does not mean it's the right one. It's the physical. It's a physical manifestation of the true light. So we know that the ones that are claiming to be that light are not that light, because we're that light. The truth said we are that light. But we have to understand what they've done to wipe out us from that. Because like my title says, the manifestation knows. The man, once he comes here on the planet as a baby boy in his mother's womb, he knows he's connected in the purest form. But once hands get laid on upon him, unclean hands, and by that I mean the shots, the white doctor's hands, people touching them. And because you can feel, we feel people's vibrations. And unfortunately, it's the fact that when we're around certain energies, they can attach upon us. and have us living in what the Bible talks about a lot of times, in a stronghold, especially when the society is dominant over you. And in our condition, the Black baby boy does not get the opportunity to bloom into what he needs to bloom into. They don't stand a chance. I don't care where you go on this planet. We can try to go to some places where people won't even allow you on their shores of their land because they're not playing that. Now they are in their purest form, but and I do think that there's other lands that this white man does not know about, and he cannot see. He cannot see. It's only for certain eyes to see. And a lot of times because our people worship and have been trained to worship what's on this planet, what's in this atmosphere, they think their conditions are due to that God they worship because of something they did wrong, which is not true. It's because of the ones who took advantage of our Christ within us, who went to sleep, and they were able to live while we were in our human form. But now that we're rising, they want to prevent it, and they started with the male. They started with the male. Now, our men have strived to be pure, white pure. That means without. And since they were touched as babies with medications and the food that we eat and a lot of other things that are going on, and the brainwashing, programming, and just the dominance period has pretty much, when you come into a world like this, that's what you see. You think that's normal, but it's not normal. It's not normal at all. It's not normal at all. And let's look at this here. It's not our normal world. And they do not want us to wake up to see that this is not our normal world. Okay, it says our African problems man-made. It says the problems are man-made, but the Africans themselves are not. Furthermore, the so-called African problems are more of perception than the reality on the ground. Until and unless Africans themselves understand that their problems are created by those they trust to offer help, not much will change for this great continent. See, that's in Africa, but the same can go for us here in America, because we're always looking for an ally, and we don't have an ally. Like the brothers and sisters over there don't have an ally, but they have been weakened. They allow strangers in there to abuse their children and abuse their women. And you got to know that this is the hand. It's a tricky hand that has played the game where we trust them no matter what they have done all these years. And they have shown us time and time again who they are. And I don't go on that thing that not all white people, because I'm going to tell you this. If it's not all white people, why come they did not stand up and do the same thing that these not all white people did for the Jews, and tell their people that they wanted to give to the Jews. The Jews needed land because all the terrorizing things they've been through. Why come we don't have none of those white folks speaking on us needing land, us needing finances, and us needing a life? That's what I want to know. If you have to be crazy to think that there's no good white people, how come no good white people have shown up to say these people need land, we need to give to these people for what we have put them through? Jane Allen, she speaks, but I don't give her no credit. I give her no credit. I give none of them credit because we've been giving them enough credit enough. And they have given us nothing, nothing at all. Nothing. Nothing at all. But time and time again, we have lost who we are, and we still hold on to Caucasians. We still give them some credit, and they give you no credit whatsoever. Only thing you get is death, and death does exist in the physical world. But for us, we're infinity, we move on. But if you want to make a difference and live your journey and experience here, you won't get to do that. That'll come to an end. Because we're both spiritual and physical. So we have to deal with both at the same time. At the same time. We're in the purest form when we're in our mom. The purest form. We can stay in that purest form depending on how that mom grooms us in the spiritual, or what's her capabilities in the spiritual. In the physical. But that's why I always say the greatest crime to humanity has been done upon us, and our people don't even see. We give so much credit, we give so much shout outs, we give so much love. We talk about love and connection with these people who have put us through our traumas and continue to do so, continue to win physically. That's why they continue to win, because our people are asleep. Our people are too busy looking towards them, and they can't resist the fact that they are white, and they to them it's light. The association, the mental association I talked about. They're gonna always, white people always know that black people are always gonna see them as good. No matter what. They're gonna always see a glimpse of hope, and maybe we can get together with brothers and sisters, and perhaps. Which is furthest from the truth. It's furthest from the truth. Now I'm going to share this video, and it's quite interesting.
So she comes in frantically running, says, "Lito, there's a man out there yelling and threatening us, and I don't know why." I literally jumped out of the chair. It's my granddaughter. I ran running outside, and to my surprise, I didn't know what to expect. There's not only a man standing here, but he's walking towards me with his hand out. My initial response was, I think I said, "Sir, please put your hands down." And I immediately asked him, "Did you threaten these kids?" And he immediately said, no, I didn't threaten them. I said, sir, did you threaten these kids? Did you threaten to hit them with the car? And he again said, no, I did not threaten the kids. Well, the girl that was filming says, yes, he did. I have it on video. Now, at this point, I could recognize that there just something wasn't right about this guy. I asked the girls to go inside for their own safety, but they gave me the video. So I stopped for a second to look at the video, and I was shocked. It took me a little while to look at it, and he was standing there. I was shocked. I immediately started walking over to him, and this isn't on video. My wife comes outside and says, Tony, don't talk to him. I said, why? I said, my wife said, he's lying. I just saw the video. He did threaten the kids. I asked my wife to go back inside, and bear with me. I'm trying to remember this. And he told us that he was coming back around for real. Oh, did he? Yeah, he signaled that he was spinning around. Oh, so, I believe I gave him an opportunity and asked him again. I can't remember. And I think he again said, no, I didn't threaten the girls. And at that point I said, you lied to me. You did threaten the girls.
Oh.
They don't.
Hold on. I didn't share this. Okay. Hold on, Shana. Hold on. I apologize. I didn't share the screen. I got it now.
Literally jumped out of the chair. It's my granddaughter. Came, running outside, and to my surprise, I didn't know what to expect. There's not only a man standing here, but he's walking towards me with his hand out. My, initial response was, I think I said, sir, please put your hands down. And I immediately asked him, did you threaten these kids? And he immediately said, no, I didn't threaten them. I said, sir, did you threaten these kids? Did you threaten to hit them with the car? And he again said, no, I did not threaten the kids. Well, the girl that was filming says, yes, he did. I have it on video. Now, at this point, I could recognize that there just something wasn't right about this guy. I asked the girls to go inside for their own safety, but they gave me the video. So I stopped for a second to look at the video, and I was shocked. It took me a little while to look at it, and he was standing there. I was shocked. I immediately started walking over to him, and this isn't on video. My wife comes outside and says, Tony, don't talk to him. I said, why? I said, my wife said, he's lying. I just saw the video. He did threaten the kids. I asked my wife to go back inside, and bear with me. I'm trying to remember this. And he told us that he was coming back around for real. Oh, did he? Yeah, he signaled that he was spinning around. Oh, so, I believe I gave him an opportunity and asked him again. I can't remember. And I think he again said, no, I didn't threaten the girls. And at that point I said, you lied to me. You did threaten the girls. They don't deserve this. These are 15-year-old girls. Why did you do that? And he goes, well. And initially, I wasn't understanding. I was looking at this guy like I didn't understand where the rage was coming from. Why is this guy mad and upset and screaming and yelling when he's talking to 14, 15-year-old girls? And I think when I first came out, when I looked at the video, I've got to be honest, I went back and looked at the video, and I noticed that he had parked his car here and then walked. My car's usually parked here. He had walked to where the girls was, so they were more frightened because this guy is walking towards them. He's approaching them. Initially, there were 5 of them. There were 2 boys that were driving the carts, and my granddaughter and 2 visitors' friends on the back of the cart. And they said as he was pulling up behind him and following him, he put his windshield down and he was reaching into his glove compartment. They don't know why. The boys were so afraid, they left the girls and ran and left. The girls were coming home immediately, and as you can see from the video,
Those were white kids.
He literally didn't even allow them to get to my house. So at that point in time, I said, "You're lying to me. You lied to me." And I think the video goes off after. And I said, "You lied to me." And I was upset about him lying. And he went on a rage again. And I said, "Look, I'll talk to the girls about the golf cart, but that doesn't excuse what you did." I said, "That had nothing to do with what you did." And he said, well, okay, I'll apologize. And I said, "The apology is too late. And that's what's wrong with this world. People don't think before their actions. They scare people. You address, they told you they were 15 years old. It didn't matter to you." At that point in time, he got belligerent and angry again with me. And then I said, "You know what? It's time for you to leave, and it's time for you to leave now." I never raised my voice at the guy. That's not correct. I went back and looked. I did raise my voice at the guy when I first came out. I was frantic. Again, my granddaughter's my life. I was frantic. But I made it a point to not, touch him. I think I composed myself. And I really want to know what happened. Why was this guy so angry? Why are you so angry? And as I tried to talk to him, and he did at one point in time, and it was disingenuous when he said, "Well, maybe I should apologize." Now I'm going to apologize. Maybe I should. And I did, again, say it's too late, because I was thinking about the mistakes that people make, and then they want to apologize. That's how accidents happened. Imagine me coming out and being in a rage like this guy, and he's on my property and just attacking him. He doesn't know who I am. And unfortunately, the girls told me that even though there were 3 of them, for whatever reasons, he decided to only approach my daughter. And in the beginning of the video, the first thing he says is, "You don't belong here." And then it was later that he says, "You don't deserve to be here." And it just so happened the other 2 were friends visiting the night that don't live here in Wellington. And my granddaughter, he had no idea that he was literally standing here at my house. And I don't know if it really hit her when she says, "I'm going to go get my grandpa." At this point, I'm like, does this guy not realize that she's home? And he didn't. Now, I have to add, when he left, before calling the sheriff's department, I went across the street to talk to my neighbor who's in the video. And I needed to make sure that prior to my coming out, everything that the kids told me really happened. Okay? And not only did it happen, my neighbor, who happens to be a doctor, noticed the guy's rage. And she said, "I stayed there because I was afraid for the girls, and I wasn't going to leave until someone came out." And she did not leave until she saw me come outside to speak with him. Okay? This is part of the I can't be silent. And, I went back and watched the video, looked at the video. And I can't discount the factor based on what he said and based on who he was concentrating his rage on, that it was obviously about the fact that he was angry about a golf cart in the community. And the irony of this is, while the sheriff's department was here, 3 of the golf carts came by. I am 100% certain that he has never said anything to anyone else on the golf cart. The deputy and I talked about it. We do have them in Wellington, not just kids, but adults in my neighborhood. And because his rage wasn't at the other 2 girls, whom he assumed lived here, he only walked up to my granddaughter initially and said, "You don't belong here." So, during this time, I've tried to decipher what people are thinking. We always say you can't jump into someone's mind. You can't jump into someone's heart. My faith is important to me, so I'm always echoing cliches like, "But from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." So, unfortunately, I think he was speaking what may or may not have been hidden in his heart. I don't know this guy. None of our neighbors knows this guy. We've never seen him before. It was pointed at my granddaughter, who was the only Black person. And something that was not caught on camera, as we were talking, he felt the need to tell me, "I'm 62 years old and I've been in this neighborhood for 5 years. I said, "Excuse me, sir, I'm 62 years old and I've lived in Wellington for 33 years. You're preaching to the choir, and I have no idea what that has to do with what you just did. You know, quite frankly, this doesn't happen in my community. And you know what? Shame on me for saying that. Shame on me for thinking that, because I have learned that there have been incidents. I'm not saying that they are to the magnitude of what's happened here, but they're subtle in nature. And it's one thing to watch it. It's another thing to experience it. And I have to be honest, I've watched the video. That night I watched it again and again, just to make sure that, you know, I wasn't going to allow my mind to overtake what really happened, that I wasn't going to allow my emotions to dictate what I say. And unfortunately, I can only come to one conclusion, and that this gentleman had a difference with us being different. For what reasons, I don't know. I don't know what this man's experienced in his life. I can tell you this. This man did not know this community, at least in the way that I did not know it. Or maybe he does know something I don't know about my community. And even today, I'm asking myself these questions.
Had you ever experienced anything like this?
Just, no, not at all. Not at all. You know, and you know, not for footage. I tell a story. I remember when I moved here in 1987. I'll never forget. Very few homes. I lived in Primrose Park, and I walked in the Publix, and I'll just never forget this. And some of the bad boys were following me, and you know, younger and much better shape. And I remember them saying, because I went home and told my wife right away. One of the bad boys said, "Oh yeah, I've seen him on TV. He's a football player." And that was so disappointing to me. I went home to my wife and I said, you know what? They think the only way we can live in Wellington is if we're an athlete and if we're a professional athlete. This was 1987. We had just moved here, and you start to reflect on certain things. And, you know, now I'm asking myself, I've been here for 33 years. I've seen transitions and change and growth that most haven't. And now that I stop and think about certain things, I'm asking myself, have I seen opportunities for me to step up? Now, I saw a lot when I was president and chair of the Boys and Girls Club. I was involved with you know, youth, primarily disadvantaged youth. So I was part of the community. But what I saw then was that obviously it's not, there were underprivileged kids, most Black, Hispanic, whatever, that needed the club. But at that time, I also found that the community was willing to help. So again, as I find myself trying to connect the dots, I have to be honest and say I did not think we had certain issues that I was watching on television. And it would be disingenuous for me to not say it was more so wishful thinking. And I was just telling myself, oh, these things don't happen behind the gates of Wellington. And you know, I realize that, and as I said to my granddaughter, and the problem today is, my granddaughter doesn't want to talk about it. And that's the problem. She wants it to just go away. And right after it happened, one of the mothers came over and we talked about this. And the girls were okay initially talking about it. And then as the night went on, because they spent the night, as the night went on, they were quiet. And it really started to bother them. And I think they had the chance to think about it. And, you know, the best thing I could tell them is how proud I was of them, because they could have responded a certain way. They've been taught that you never disrespect someone. It doesn't matter what they say. And even more so, they've been taught, if you're in a situation like this, just walk away. Just walk away. But I have to come back and say, they were trying to come home. He followed them all the way from our gate. Okay? He did not deny threatening to hit them. He had his car right on the edge of the golf cart. So imagine being a 15-year-old child and this happening. Okay, and then, again, the boys ran. They were afraid. Or they took off in the golf cart. And then he followed the three girls. Followed them to my house, parked by my mailbox, and then walked towards them. What kind of person does this? What sort of hate and rage does this guy have inside of him? And at this point, that's all that matters.
Let me me ask you this. If you ever see this man again, what would you say?
I wouldn't. I have to be honest here. I'll have a conversation with anyone, but there are certain things that I will never accept. And if you lead by example, and I've been asked this already, would I have a conversation with him? And my first response was, no, probably not. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm more concerned about having a conversation with my village officials. And I'm more concerned with talking to them about the bigger picture. Okay? And right now, I'm not so sure there needs to be a concentration on calming the Black, brown, and minority community. I think we need to spend some time educating everyone else that's not quite understanding what's going on. And then once we educate everyone else, and then once I think people start understanding, I'm pretty fortunate. You asked me how long I've lived here. I'm not from Florida. I've lived all over the country. So I've had experiences that a lot of people here haven't had. And you know, this is a first.
Hey family, I'm also going to share with you one of the people that I follow on YouTube here. Check out Jedi. Let me get him up here for you guys. He's got some really good topics. He's a real hard runner for us as Black people. I love his content. I love to catch him live. We get into great discussions. So I'm trying to share with you. He gave me the okay to share with you his video, and I'll share just a few of it. But please go over and finish listening to this one. This one is a very good video here. Let me see if I can find what I did with it. Okay, let me go. Jedi. Ooh. Okay, there he goes, the Jenner. I'm gonna share with you.
Abdomen, according to police. You understand? So mostly we got boys.
I'm gonna let y'all. I'm gonna let this run a little bit, and I'm gonna put his whatchamacallit in the link in the chat. Okay. Okay. This is the Jedi, and also Keith Newsom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the link after I show you a little bit of the Jedi's video. I'm going to share you Keith Newsom's link because he also has something going on this weekend. So let's get into this video for a few minutes.
Now, this was not supposed to be your next video at all. Like, I have a full thing that I'm preparing and been working on for the last couple of days, where I'm trying to bring in real time event after event after event after event all across the country, various things, etc., that show unequivocally that white people are the enemy of all humanity. And I'm going to be not only re-highlighting that for our people, but I want to bring in or bring to the attention once again, but in a more illustrative way, to other people who are not white and who are not Africans, so that they can begin to understand that this is their problem. This is who is their problem.
That's a stark difference. What he just commented. It's a slight different from what that brother was saying when he was talking about his granddaughter getting approached by the devil. Now, may I remind you that we've had children get shot. But the incident with this grandfather happened 3 weeks ago, like June sometime. So he does not realize how close his granddaughter came to death dealing with this devil in the neighborhood. But yet, he's a little backwards when he talks about them needing knowledge. They know what they're doing. Caucasian knows what they are doing. They're doing it. See, he does not have the knowledge of why they do what they do. They want survival. And they ain't surviving. Nature is not having it. And nature is unforgiving. Nature is unforgiving.
And they need to get about the business of fighting their own battle. You understand? But I'll get into that in that piece. This threw itself at me because it's so egregious. But it also harkens back to when there was all the mass shootings that were going on. Oh my God, 70 people died in Baltimore. Oh my God, 80 people died in Chicago over the weekend. And it was just some bullshit. You want me to believe now that in the middle of a pandemic where hundreds of thousands of people are out in the street because of the murders and the lynchings of African people by white devils, that poof, the weekend comes and let's go kill everybody let's just everybody go kill their own and start mayhem in their own neighborhoods. Nobody is doing that, everybody. Nobody's doing that. I say again, nobody is doing that. Put that down. It's more lies from this white devil, and I'm going to prove that in this piece. All right, but let us look at some of the drama, as it were. Now you guys know I never read anything in advance. I just sourced 3 things that look like they had titles that satisfied what I want, and we're going to go from there. And then I'm going to give you some independent things that I've also sourced. But this one is children aged 7, 8, and 14 killed as gun violence mars holiday weekend in Chicago and Atlanta. At least 72 people were shot in Chicago since early Friday morning, 15 fatally. First of all, let's stop and understand this number. 72 people? 72 people were to believe. Wait, no. It's 72 people, everybody. If 72 people are killed anywhere, people are running for the hills. They are running into their house. Nobody's going to the grocery store. You would just be under a state of, oh my God, that many people died. Don't go anywhere. But that didn't happen. 1 and 1 have to make 2. And when they don't, that means there's an anomaly. An anomaly is the stench, the footprint, the fingerprint of conspiracy. I'm suggesting to you, I'm telling you, I'm proclaiming to you that anything we're going to read about is being perpetrated by white devil-ass police who are nothing but a gang. Anybody that wears that uniform is not worthy of any respect by anybody at all. And because they're frail little bitches, now when it looks like their funding could get pulled, and oh my God, our qualified immunity, which means we can't just act with impunity and kill anybody we want and go home and have a steak, they go out and start killing people. They've always done this. And then they want to throw this black on black crime at you, huh? Then we look at the timing of Terry Cruz's recent statements, which was my last video, where he's so concerned about what's going on in the black community, and we have to do what's going on in the black community. And he's been on every show. He was on Roland Martin, that's where I seen him. And then he was on The Talk, and he was on The View, and he's been on, I think he was on The Moon last week. I mean, he's everywhere, dude. And timing, everybody. And I always tell you, nothing is unconnected in this society. It's all one thing. All of it. All of it. And that's why it's high time African people understand you need to pick up arms, go get armed, and understand that now is the time for physical response. No more marching and chanting and pleading. You don't sing your way to fucking liberation and shit. You understand? Malcolm said that no revolution ever happened without bloodshed. You're going to have to be willing to kill, you have to be willing to die. That's the facts of it. Up till now, they've depended on your cowardice. Oh, they'll never take up arms and come against us. Oh, but yes, the fuck we will. And I'm going to try to link a video for you that I was sharing on a group chat earlier today with some of you guys. And I think I have found someone who speaks like me, everybody. I'm sure his model is not as complete as me because he's not me. But you will hear it and go, yep, the Jedi's been saying that. Yep, that's, yep, that. It'll just do the checklist and you'll understand why I make that statement. But, so let's get into this fiction. All right. Well, maybe I should do this before I read, because I understand that there was a deadly shooting in South Carolina. 2 shooters opened fire at a nightclub. 8, yeah. Or maybe it was 2 were shot and 8 others were hospitalized. Can't read my own writing. I'm supposed to have been a doctor. All right. Now, this, by the way, it's important to know that South Carolina is under the pandemic, and they have restricted gatherings of bars and clubs. They're not even supposed to be open. Huh? And then, so we're to believe that they were just open? That's an anomaly. That's an anomaly. And with all this pushback on everything being closed down, we see the only people that's ass hurt over that is white people. Black people don't love being cooped up, but we understand. And we are actually human beings. And so we choose life over a fucking beer in a goddamn pub where they stand around with their hats turned to the back just so they can stand there and pose. Like, that's what you're willing to give your life up for, if this shit is real or not? But more importantly, they know it's mostly us that's dying of it. Allegedly. So whatever the case is, this would be something that African people just simply wouldn't be. We don't do this. You understand? Some shit is just anti-goddamn-it African. But then there's that. All right. So the bars and the clubs supposed to be closed down due to the pandemic. Then you had 8 people in Chicago on Saturday, 23 people in Atlanta, All right. I think what turned me to this story was I think I'd heard 30 or 31 people had been killed in Atlanta. We'll see what the articles are going to say. All right. Then you had Southeast DC, an 11-year-old boy was killed. Memphis, Cleveland, Baton Rouge, and Omaha, Nebraska all reported multiple shootings and deaths. Oh, it's all out mayhem. Huh? Oh, but it's not, though. It's not. This is white devil ass, bitch ass police going around shooting up people, and they're non-police members as well. Because like I told you, we don't make any distinction between white devils, whether they wear a uniform or they don't. All you need is pig skin and you the enemy and the suspect. You understand? These are the perpetrators. And again, I'm going to prove that in this piece. All right? I always tell you something could be right in front of you and you won't see it. You want to hide something, put it right out in the open. Nobody will see it. Nobody will see it. Nobody will see it. All right. So this first one, let's see how long this is. All right, we may abbreviate some of these so we get to all of them. And by the way, you guys, I'm running this on a hotspot from my phone. I was able to get my computer to do some things, and then I thought, well, let me see if the hotspot can work to run the computer. And alas, it does. But I don't know for how long, because I don't understand how gigabytes run down and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to move it along. All right. A rash of shootings in Chicago and Atlanta marred the 4th of July weekend and left the families of 3 children grieving over their deaths. Wait now. And now we don't take the deaths lightly, because we know that, if people died, then people died. You understand? But the thrust of it is to say we can do 2 things at once. We can be very devastated over the death, and quite frankly, even more devastated, because we know these murders are being committed by white savage-ass people. No question about it. No question about it. Because one of the tall tale signs is anytime we commit a crime, they're Johnny on the spot rounding up people. We want to be looking to see if anybody's been rounded up yet. All right? This happened over the weekend. Today is, I feel like it's Wednesday. And so I should hear about somebody being rounded up, because when you don't, that means the hand that did it is that I'm indicting is the one that did it.
Exactly. And they are trying to come up with some people to accuse, to blame it on anyways.
You understand? A rash of shootings in Chicago, Atlanta marked the 4th of July weekend and left families of 3 children grieving over their deaths. At least 72 people were shot in Chicago since early Friday morning, 15 fatally, including a 7-year-old girl who was visiting her grandmother on the holiday, according to police. And I notice they're mentioning kids a lot too. You understand? That's for the sympathy value. To make you go, we just got to have more police. And of course, there's no shortage of dumbass black men showing up on TV claiming we need more police and don't defund the police, and have you singing the song for your murderer to keep them in your fucking communities, oppressing and killing your bitch asses. You understand what I'm telling you? If you want shit you never had, you got to do shit you never did, everybody. That's the equation. Write it down and live by it. Great things will happen in your life. When families should be celebrating, having a good time, spending time together, a 7-year-old girl was taken from us. Chief of Detectives Fred Waller of the Chicago Police Department said at a news conference, a 7-year-old girl who was here visiting her grandmother, visiting her family, and now she's gone. The shooting unfolded about around 7 p.m. on Saturday, as the girl, identified by authorities as Natalie Wallace. So you're giving out the name of a 7-year-old girl who died. That's usually something that's not done, but we'll go on. It's usually not done until later. You understand? But there's her name. Natalie Wallace was playing with other children and family in front of her grandmother's house in the Austin neighborhood on the west side of Chicago, Waller said. Several men arrived in a light-colored car got out and began firing in the direction of Natalie and her relatives, Walter said. And you want me to believe that that's brothers? One thing niggas don't do, we don't just do random shit. That's white people shit. If we come to spray you, it's because your bitch ass is a target for a very good reason. You owe them money, you owe them dope, you've dissed somebody something. We won't just jump out and start killing. And least of all, we don't point in the direction of children. Again, that is the mark of a savage. And the only savage on the earth is this white devil. You understand? So all the earmarks that we're hearing so far is the footprint of white people. Again, where does it say? Several men arrived in a light-colored car, got out and began firing in the direction of Natalie and her relatives. No description of the car, though, just a light-colored car. Let's see if we get the description of any car as we go through this. That's going to be very important to my final act. All right? It began firing in the direction. The little girl was hit in the forehead by a bullet. She was taken to Stroger Hospital of Cook County, where she was pronounced dead. It was a family gathering, so there were many kids, Walter said. There were kids riding on bicycles, enjoying the 4th of July, as they should have been, and now this child is gone. No arrests have been made in the killing. Ha-ha! You see? We're still not heard any description of the car, though, y'all. Just a light-colored car, that's it. Huh? And the fact that it was children, what they say, it was a family gathering. There were many kids. So there were many kids. Thugs don't get out and open fire on kids, everybody. That's real, homie. You know, this is right up there with, you see, this is why white people are, they're just, everything is wrong with these fucking people. But I go back to, you know, when I always tell you, you have to know things about, you have to know something about stuff that you think doesn't even concern you. Because you never know when that knowledge will serve you. So we go back now, this reminds me of the events of 9/11, which was staged by white people. The government and the military of this country had nothing to do with anybody Arab from any other country at fucking all. But when they were saying that they heard on the voice recorders, the cockpit voice recorders, that before the first plane, I think it was, hit the tower, and I think really on all the planes, but certainly before the first plane hit the first tower, they claimed the hijackers were screaming Allah Akbar, which is not how you say it. It's Allahu Akbar. It's important to say that because every word matters. When you say Allah Akbar, you're saying something different than Allahu Akbar. You understand? Anyway, when they were saying this, that's what they were yelling as they were flying into the towers. Well, even if you're not a Muslim, you need to know something about Muslim culture. I am a Muslim, so I'm the authority. I'm the source. No Muslim, is committing suicide. Fast verse. Allah is very clear in the Quran that one of the many things that you will not be forgiven for at fucking all is the taking of your own life. Not allowed to do that. Secondly, any Muslim, knowing that their death is imminent, does not proclaim the takbir, which is what Allahu Akbar is. That is known as a takbir. So, you would not be proclaiming takbir. You would be making shahada, which is ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. That's what you would say. You understand? And you would squeeze in an inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un as well. But not Allahu Akbar. It just wouldn't happen. So this is that. So they don't know thug code. They just paint you as everybody's a savage, and so this story is just supposed to go over and nobody questions it until it reaches the orbit of the Jedi. And all bullshit stops right here. So this is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem. We'll go on. No arrests have been made in the killing. Of course not. And there won't be. And there never is. With these, oh my God, over the holiday, 1 billion people were killed. We've never had an arrest in any of these cases because we're not the ones perpetrating it. That's why I tell you, black people, you have got to separate yourself from white people completely. Because when shit like this breaks off, you don't know who's good and who's bad. Nobody ever saw one roach and said, oh, that one's okay. You must treat this like roaches. They're all bad.
And the whole thing is Caucasians will be good, but their goodness is to themselves. You get the bad. That's the whole point of it. See, we don't know to do that, to be that way. We don't know to be like that for ourselves, for each other. A lot of us don't have that self-love and that group mentality, that support of your own, love of your own, where you understand your true existence is to love your people like you never loved before. Love your people like you love yourself. And Caucasians know that. What may appear to be good to you from them is actually bad because they need you to think they're good so they can take advantage.
Because that's what we see. And that's the proof I'm bringing in my next piece that was supposed to be in this video. I'm laying more groundwork to prove that that is more likely true than not. Do you understand? But more than that, it makes it easier to identify infiltrators. You understand? It's one thing you got to deal with plants that have been put in, some sellout ass niggas that have been put amongst you. That's one investigation. But then you got to wonder about the fucking white devil that you've allowed among you. Nah, you don't allow none of them among you. You understand? Then we can check our own. And it's easier to sniff our own than it is their bitch asses. So, no arrests have been made in the killings. Tonight, a 7-year-old girl in Austin, joined a list of teenagers and children whose hopes and dreams were ended by the barrel of a gun, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot wrote on Twitter Saturday night. Hours later, a 14-year-old boy was among 4 people shot to death at a large holiday gathering in the Inglewood neighborhood on the south side of the city. Police said the child, whose name has not been released, was shot in the back and then taken to Comer Children's Hospital, where he was pronounced dead, according to police. That tells me right there, the child was a random target because they were shooting randomly. That's why he was shot in the back. Thugs don't kill kids, and they not shoot no kids in the back. You understand? When a child actually gets hit by something that wasn't meant for them, everybody, the circumstances surrounding it are obvious to anybody witnessing it that that child was not the target, that it was a stray bullet. We've all seen that. This doesn't have any of those earmarkings. In both these stories so far, the 3 stories or whatever it is now, you have nothing but children. You understand? And this was a 14-year-old boy. Then there was a 7-year-old girl, and then the first one was, what was it? A 7-year-old. Right, well, let's go on. Anyway, police said the shooting happened around 11:35 p.m. when 4 men walked up. Now, in the first one, you had a car pulled up and several men got out of a light-colored car. Now, this one, when 4 men walked up to the gathering and opened fire. This is white people, everybody. I put that on my mama's grave. 4 other people were wounded in the incident, including an 11-year-old boy who was shot in the leg and ankle and a 15-year-old boy who was shot in the abdomen, according to police. You understand? So mostly we've got boys now. But mostly, what's most glaring is that all the victims they've described so far are children. This is white people doing this shit. I'm telling you, it's time for us to turn into their bitch ass, everybody. You don't buy shit else from this moment on until you got some heat. No arrests have been made. Again, and you won't see any arrests through any of this. I've ever read any of it. I've got 3 articles. We will not. Here's what we're not going to find, everybody. We won't find. There will be no arrests and no descriptions of vehicles that are worth a damn. Watch what I'm telling you. All right. A 10-year-old girl. Now will be another kid. A 10-year-old girl was wounded in a shooting early Sunday morning in the Roger Park neighborhood on the far north side of Chicago. Police said the girl was standing in a hallway of her apartment building when just after 1 a.m., what is a 10-year-old doing up at 1 a.m.? You understand? And we assume these are children of color. You're not up at 1 a.m. at 10 years old. You're not doing that. You understand? A man fired multiple shots from outside, and a bullet penetrated the door and grazed the girl's head, police said. A 48-year-old woman who was with the girl at the time was shot in both legs and then taken to the hospital, where she was treated and in serious condition, according to police. Chicago has been in the throes of what Mayor Lightfoot has described as a gun violence epidemic. No, it's not. My people in Chicago and any place else we're going to read about need to be armed, and you need to know everybody in your fucking community. And the moment you see somebody that don't look like you, certainly a motherfucking white person, you need to open fucking fire. That's what needs to happen.
That's right. You don't have space. You don't have time. You don't to stop and say, is this a good white person?
You understand? If they can't give you an immediate answer why they're there, you need to act. Because that's who's carrying this out. I don't care what nobody's going to say. That's where this shit is coming from. That's what's coming from. The latest carnage in the Windy City came after a 20-month-old boy and a 10-year-old girl were among 14 people shot to death in Chicago last weekend when 40 more were wounded. Huh? And no arrests? No suspects? Nah. Because the people that would find suspects and all this kind of shit are the ones perpetrating this. There's no question. Because police are punk bitches. You understand? More than 100 people were shot, 14 fatally over the Father's Day weekend. And on May 31st, Chicago police investigated 18 homicides, the most the city has seen in a single day in 60 years. Meanwhile, an 8-year-old girl, here it goes, another child, was killed in Atlanta on Saturday night when someone opened fire on a car she was riding in with her mother and another adult, police said. The Atlanta Police Department said a preliminary investigation found that the shooting happened about 9:50 p.m. when the person driving the car the girl was in attempted to pull into a parking lot and was confronted by a group of armed individuals who blocked the entrance. Everything we've heard has been a group. White people are punk bitches. You understand? They only show up if they have a gun and a crew when they confront African people. They turn into bitches if they don't have that. Because they will never be victorious over African people. That's why they ran their bitch asses away from Stone Mountain when they had the thing on 4th of July. That's why they ran their bitch asses away when our brothers were standing outside of the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery's house in Georgia. Huh? I'm going to give you a link to the brother that was part of that I tell you, I hear my words in, everybody. I had a lot of hope when I heard this brother. Especially after all of the despair that I felt since I couldn't get my people to come forward for the Black Independence Liberation League. Oh my God, this brother has my ideas. He has it. Wow. Anyways, found that the shootings happened around after driving the car. The girl attempted to parking lot. Okay, confronted by a group of armed individuals. Again, no description of individuals, just individuals. So far, nobody has seen no look at nobody. At some point, people in that group opened fire on the vehicle, striking it multiple times and striking the child who was inside, police said in a statement. You see, and there the bitch ass is telling it. Nothing from witnesses. Everything we've heard has been police said, police said, police said. That's another sign of conspiracy. We've not seen one time witnesses said X, Y, and Z. Everything is police said. You understand? So it's immediately a fucking lie. The driver immediately drove to Atlanta Medical Center where the girl.
Yeah, the police were pissed off when they heard about defunding. So it's only evident that, this
whose name was not immediately released, was pronounced dead, police said. Remember, because I just critiqued the fact that they released a 7-year-old's name in one of the early pieces, and now here, protocol is somehow back in effect, whose name was not immediately released, because she's a minor. No arrests have been made in the shooting, and there won't be. Another sign of conspiracy. Atlanta police said that more than a dozen people were shot during a large street party held to watch fireworks display in the northeast part of the city. Around 1 a.m., a vehicle struck a pedestrian near the party, and a fight erupted between a number of people, according to police. A number of people, according to police. So the police didn't talk to any of these people that any of this shit is happening to. It's usually witnesses said such and such. You understand? But you're not hearing that. That's very glaring and expected. I already told you the things you're not going to hear. This is just the first one. I'm making that guarantee for all 3 articles because I know the things of which I speak. I know this white devil. You understand? The altercation struck the pedestrian near the party, and a fight erupted between a number of people. So a number of people, a fight escalated or erupted, and they haven't jammed up nobody. The altercation escalated to multiple shots being fired by multiple people, police said in a statement. At this time, it appears a total of 14 people were struck by gunfire in that area. All victims were taken to area hospitals by private vehicles. So nobody went by ambulance. But if the police were were on the scene, they would have been calling, we need medical. None of that. No witness statements, no calling ambulances by police. Everybody, 14 people. It would be one thing if 1 or 2 of them went by personal vehicle to the hospital, but all 14 people go to the fucking hospital by private vehicle. This is white fucking people, everybody. White vigilantes. When white people don't get their fucking way, this is what they do, and we need to start answering this shit. A fucking eye for a goddamn eye. Authorities said 2 of those wounded in the incidents were in critical condition, while 12 were in stable condition, but no statements from anybody. At this time, investigators are working to identify all involved parties and determine the circumstances surrounding the shooting. The police statements read. Okay, that's fine after the fact, but you've not given us anything of any statements on scene at any of these incidents that you've storied so far. But now police are working to identify all involved parties. No, you're not. An unrelated incident in North Atlanta left and man, I think they meant a man and a woman, with gunshot wounds after they confronted a group of people, again, another group of people, who had been discharging fireworks outside a residence, police said. At some point, that's so vague, at some point during the confrontation, well, we don't know when, could have been last week, at some point during the confrontation, shots were fired and both victims were struck. Police said in a statement, adding that both victims were in stable condition at Grady Memorial in Atlanta. Police officials said detectives were working Sunday to sort out the circumstances of the shooting and identify suspects. But you just said that this was at a home. Just a second. It's, where was it now? You said an unrelated incident in North Atlanta left a man and a woman with wounds after they confronted a group of people who had been discharging fireworks outside a residence. There it is. Police said. But down here, they say police, where was it? Police officials said detectives were working Sunday to sort out the circumstances of the shooting and identify suspects. Well, you didn't question nobody at that house? You've given us the name of a 7-year-old, and you can't give us the name of any of these other people that allegedly have been shot? And oh, by the way, I leave open for also the fact that not only is this killing being done by fucking white people, but also some of it may just didn't even fucking happen. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Name names, goddammit. How do we know anybody was injured or anything happened? This is words on a page. Let's go to the next one. It will be the same thing, I promise you. It's got to stop. Atlanta mayor decries as surge of violence as a girl is killed. Sequoia Turner, 8, was one of several children killed across the country. Over the holiday weekend. Her death has roiled Atlanta. And then I tell you, there's a writer, an editor, and a publisher, everybody. Somebody decided that a black police officer would be pictured in this photo. You understand? That's not just random, on the scene, random. No. They picked that picture. They picked that picture. You understand?
Yep.
Atlanta officer standing watching as the burned out Wendy's restaurant is cleared of protesters and their belongings on Monday, but they don't give his name. You understand? Even more telling that first of all, you pick a picture of a black officer and we don't have his name.
Yeah, usually if it's a picture of a white officer, it's Sergeant such or Officer such. This is clearly staged.
Anytime, 99% of the time, you have a big story like this, and now you have an actual picture of a police officer. And by the way, it's at the Wendy's that Rashad Brooks was killed at. Just doing your jurisprudence as a reporter, your camera person is standing right the fuck right there. You would say, "What's your name, officer?" Or you would just look on his damn name tag, and you didn't. Because he's a prop. Because they don't want a white face. Because they don't want you to be thinking about white people doing this shit. The Jedi is here to ring the alarm. Activists with Black Lives Matter had a vision.
This kind of also reminds me of what they do spiritually to us. They put us in the place of their shit that they do on this planet and make us look like the face of it spiritually by you falling for their shit and going into their shit and wanting to be more like them. You can get confused with their time. When their time of punishment comes, you go too. So it's pretty much like dragging you to hell in the spiritual sense.
For what the scorched remains of Wendy's restaurant could become. The Rayshard Brooks Peace Center, a gathering place in Atlanta, while job training, counseling, and youth programs that would be a living memory named for the man whose fatal encounter with white devil-ass murderers transformed the fast food eater into the heart of the city's turmoil. But the lofty aspirations have been clouded by continuing violence. No violence during all the fucking protesting. And how many holidays have passed between the outbreak of this fucking corona bullshit and the killing of George Floyd, everybody? but we didn't go kill nobody. No crime spree breaking out across the country. But no, now there is. And I'm going to tell you why.
And then there were threats given to Black people over the holiday weekend. I guess because we're not all connected to one another, many of our people, unfortunately, didn't get to hear about the threats that were issued to keep their family protected and know not to celebrate this jacked up holiday.
Because they waited for 4th of July. Everybody's been reporting. You guys know I've been bitching about fireworks around my place for the last 3 years. But I learned that there was news stories being done about other cities where people are just randomly complaining that the fireworks have just been too much. I even heard Sunny Houston say it on The View. And she goes, and I'm one of these conspiracy theory people, and I just think they're just kind of designed to keep you kind of jittery. And she went to like this small little thing, and then she kind of moved away from it. But it lends credence. This is not a random female. Sunny Houston is a very educated woman, a former federal prosecutor. She's an attorney. Come on. So, what gives you more cover for gunshots? If you're going to kill somebody, the best time to do it is the goddamn 4th of July. While bitches are setting off fireworks, nobody will hear the gunshots. Do you understand? So timing, once again, Terry Crews, and then it's the 4th of July, and oh my God, all mayhem breaks out. You understand? Not to mention, we're sure the victims are mostly Africans, and because we're also in an election year, and we can't have all those niggers going to the polls. We just can't have that. Or answering their mail-in ballots. We can't have it. But more than that, we also have to serve the bitch-ass police agenda. They want to make it look like there's all this crime, so you beg for the bitch-asses to be in your fucking neighborhoods, and so they can continue to have their qualified immunity and keep their money and all the bullshit. No, annihilate these bitches. You understand? Annihilation.
That's right.
Police don't need fucking training. They need consequences, bitch. That's what you need. That's what you need. That's what you need. The Wendy's restaurant, blah, 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 fatal encounter. All right, but the lofty aspirations have been clouded by continued violence. On Saturday, an 8-year-old girl, again, all kids, an 8-year-old girl, Sequoia Turner, was gunned down, the authorities said, after an armed group stopped her family's car nearby. Stopped her family's car. This is white people. Black people aren't doing this shit. Nah, if we got a problem with Ray Ray, we gonna go see him. You understand? We gonna go see him. Stopping family cars? This is white people, everybody. Understand that. And we even on the phone to these fucking police departments. In fact, I'll probably do that live. Today's Wednesday, so if I can get it at a time when it's right across the country, call these bitches live and say, we know it's white police that's doing this shit, and other white fucking supremacists, just random ass white people, Karen and them, and all y'all white asses.
And something that I didn't think about is when I saw one of the YouTube videos showing, but it really bothered me that they would make masks and arm skin and every hand skin and everything to look like Black people. And these Black men can actually turn themselves into looking like Black people, which, is a racist insult to us. But they use that, and then they use that so they can go into Black neighborhoods and shoot people and make us think that it's Black people that did those things.
This is not the work of violent, regular citizens, and certainly not people of color. Period. Quote, you kill your own, huh? You killed your own this time. Her father, Sequoia Williams, said at a news conference on Saturday night, because he's a dumb fuck who can't think independently for himself. So who's he saying that to? That's supposed to be a message to Black people. You're killing your own. No, bitch, you're being killed.
And the church has us speaking against ourselves and downing ourselves in these Black communities, that our people don't seem to be able to understand the difference between a devil that has oppressed us and murdered and separated families for all these decades and decades, and the difference between our own people who would never do such certain things only out of desperation, hurt, and pain that this society has pushed them into.
Said at a news conference on Sunday, you killed a child. You didn't do nobody. You didn't do nothing to. She didn't do nothing to nobody. Right. And the only people that would kill an innocent black child is a white devil. These are the same people that used to cut the babies out of our women. You understand? After they string them up and then smash the heads of the baby in front of everybody. This is the violent devil savage that we're still dealing with in this era, everybody. Nothing has changed. You think the passage of time just, it's all magical and mystical now. It's all different now. Well, it's just all different. And no, the fuck it's not. Oh my God, where's my sleeping pill? Because after I do this shit, I'm going face down. Because I will be worked up. I'm getting worked up. Wait. The killing unsettled the city already beleaguered and on edge. Atlanta has been rocked by weeks of turbulence with Mr. Brooks's death. We don't act out like this, everybody. We still mourning our brother. It's that fucking simple. If you know nothing else after you watch this video, you need to know when you leave this bitch, this is white people. The murdering savages are the ones doing this. With a punctuation on bitch ass police.
Exactly.
Because every story is groups of people just walking up. Groups. You understand? Nah. And remember, we're the most unemployed in this bitch right now. You understand? Niggas ain't even got gas to be driving around. Let us be clear.
And what for? What for? The people that got the most motive is the people that hate us for who we are and what we are.
Mr. Brooks, on June 12th. By the way, June 12th was also the anniversario of the murder of the white whore that they claim O.J. Simpson killed. That was June 12th, everybody. Sparking unrest in the streets and some in the police department staging their own protests after 2 officers were charged in connection with his death. You see what I'm saying? Oh, they were mad that they would dare be charged. These are the motherfuckers that stage what they call when they get the fucking flu and shit. They claim they got the flu so they don't go to work, and they start telling you police service won't be available and start threatening the fucking city because they're wimp ass bitches who all need to go. You understand? Enough is enough was splashed in all capital letters across the front page of Atlanta Journal-Constitution on Monday, repeating the frustrated words of Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms at a news conference on Saturday and echoing a sentiment shared in other parts of the country as a number of children have died in recent days in a surge of gun violence. And of course they made it children to get the sympathy. You understand? To get the sympathy and fuck Keisha Lance Bottoms, because if you're really a black woman, you know you're fucking people. You understand? I always tell you, if you're going to lead the people, you got to be of the people. If you're going to lead the people, you got to know the people. You understand? If you're going to know the people, you got to be of the people. And you must love the people. You should be at any podium saying, I know this is all breaking out like it's really off the chain, but black folks don't do this. You see what I'm saying? Oh, but that would take courage and real leadership, which you'll never find in a weak fucking Christian. So I digress. I withdraw my statement. Move to strike, Your Honor. I'll redirect. All right. The reality is this: there aren't police officers shooting people on the street. Oh, well, why did they go? Why would they say this? Hear this. This is a quote. Who are they quoting? Quote. The reality is this: these aren't police officers shooting people on the streets of Atlanta. These are members of the community shooting each other. Miss Bottom said it. Fuck her. Call the bitch's office. You understand? Like, you think our people just shifted from mourning to just fucking let's kill each other? And for no fucking reason? We don't kill random people like that. Black people only kill when we have a reason. Period. And then she went out of her way to make this statement that there aren't police officers shooting people on the street in Atlanta. Yes, the fuck there is. The enduring struggle with gun violence has also intensified in other cities. And just a second, if we got all these guns, how come weren't out there blasting the fucking head off these goddamn police officers for all these weeks that people have been out on the street marching and protesting, including at the fucking Wendy's where Rashad was killed, huh? No, we're saving our ammo for our children.
Well, they did shoot the windshield of a police car just in case a question arises that this brother Jedi wrote.
Who believes that? Who believes that? You got any ammo, you use it on their bitch ass, which is what the fuck we would be doing. Wow. The enduring struggle with gun violence is also intensified in other cities, including Chicago and Philly, where at least 5 people were killed within a span of 5 hours on Sunday, including a 6-year-old boy, again, another child. 2 others in the city were killed over holiday weekend, with at least 30 people reported shot, officials said. Philadelphia has recorded nearly 30% more homicides this year compared to 2019, officials said. And the year is on track to be the worst since 2007, when the city was besieged by an epidemic of gun violence. Listen, all the statistics show that crime has been steadily going down across this bitch. The only thing that's been going up is the hiring of fucking police, everybody. This is fucking police. This is why I say we have to look past that fucking uniform and understand these people are out for blood, and we need to suit up and fucking be ready to draw blood the same fucking way. Do you understand? Because when random shootings start happening in their fucking neighborhoods, they will knock the shit off in hours. I read that, okay. Let me scan. Do I need to read any of this? Because it's more fucking lies. Oh, God. Toxic mix despair we must address. In Georgia, the fucking governor who stole the goddamn election from Stacey Abrams declared a state of emergency on Monday, saying that weeks of heightened crime and unrest had incited a sense of lawlessness in the Capitol. No, because if that was the case, we would have been out there shooting fucking white people at random, particularly fucking police, and we didn't. So don't give me this shit now. We wait for a peaceful fucking holiday to come when black folks are mostly cooking and eating and drinking and smoking fucking weed and relaxating. We ain't got time for this. And the widespread nature of it lets you know it's white devils. No question about it. Don't believe shit else, my people. Don't believe shit else. Don't. He has mobilized as many as 1,000 Georgia National Guard troops and called for state law enforcement agencies to ramp up their patrols in Atlanta. Yeah, ramp them up. And my people need to strap up. You understand? To be ready for a bitch ass. Peaceful protests were hijacked by criminals with a dangerous, destructive agenda, which we know was nothing but white people, and that was proven. Even the fucking Wendy's that was burned down was a white bitch. Let us be clear. All right? Now innocent Georgians have been targeted, shot, and left for dead. The fucking white devil governor, a Republican, said in a statement, adding, enough with the tough talk. We must protect the lives and lives of our Georgians. Yeah, enough for the fucking marching, protesting, and singing, my people. Just like he said.
This is obvious propaganda when he was saying that he said that it's not necessarily all Georgians he's talking about. It's the white people that they fear that we will stand up and take arms. This is why they would go around shooting our children. The threat.
It's enough for the tough talk. That's enough for the protesting and singing. Time to strap up. At least 4 children were killed across the country over the holiday weekend on Saturday. An 11-year-old boy, Devon McNeil, died in Washington, D.C. after he was shot in the head when a group of men started firing in the street near a 4th of July cookout. No video cameras, no surveillance camera footage of none of this shit. And everything's being told by the police. No statement from witnesses. Was shot when a group, again, another group, that's what we've been hearing, that's been constant throughout this entire thing, started firing in the street near the 4th of July cookout. The authorities said a 4-year-old boy in St. Louis County, Missouri, I guess, also died from a gunshot wound to the head, and in the head, no less. This is white fucking people, everybody. Listen, a lot of our people still talking about, is there going to be a fucking race war? Bitch, these motherfuckers are attacking you every goddamn day since 1619. The shit is on. It's our time to fucking fight back now. It's a one-sided ass aggression. We need to be over that shit. This was in the head. The authorities said he might have been hit by a stray bullet. Whatever. I don't believe that. Royda Giles Jr., 8, was killed on Friday in a shootout at a mall in Hoover, Alabama, I guess, outside of Birmingham. Yeah, the police said the school district in Alabama said that Royda was a rising 3rd grader, and in a statement described him as a smart child who was a jewel with big dreams of someday entering the music industry. Again, they give you that sympathy stuff, but no details. They just said, he was shot at a mall in Hoover, Alabama. That's in a mall. Bitch, where's the surveillance camera?
He's right. It sounds like they're playing to the parts of Black people. And during the election year, during a time when Black people are waking up to realize the police are our greatest enemies, at least the ones that we need our own policing, our own. Ones who have the principles and the understanding of what a community is.
Bruh. You understand? No surveillance camera, no witness statements, everything from the police. Because they just want to roll out their fucking National Guard, and they want Black people to start, and they want the public song to now become, we don't want to defund the police, and we don't want to take their fucking qualified immunity, all that. Fuck all of that. Man, I'm telling you, these motherfuckers need consequences, not training. Fucking consequences, bitch. In Chicago, Natalie Wallace, 7. Again, another 7. Just all kids. Again, another tall tale sign that this is not being perpetrated by African people. This is being perpetrated by white devils. Was fatally shot as she played outside her grandmother's house. Authorities said. Y'all couldn't talk to grandmama? She was among the 9 children who had been killed since June 20th as the city's problem with gun violence flared in recent weeks. So there's this problem with guns, but we couldn't fire a fucking head off not one of these motherfucking murdering ass white devils with these badges. Not one, bitch. But now they want us to believe there's all this gun violence. 1 and 1 have to make 2, everybody, and when they don't, it's some bullshit. That's real. She was among 9 children to be killed since by violence in recent weeks. Activists, anger and despair. I'm over it. Think about the number of children who have been killed just in the last 2 weeks, Lori Lightfoot. See, think about the children that have been killed. Do you really want to take those police off the street and take their money and take away their fucking qualified immunity? Yes, bitch, I do, and I want to see all their bitch asses 6 feet under, too. Chicago mayor said before the holiday weekend, families that will not recover from this hardship, mothers' hearts that are broken, fathers' hearts that are destroyed, grandparents who are living in mourning. Oh, it's all very sappy, but we have to stay focused. You understand? That's all very sad, but we have to stay focused. The authorities in Atlanta said that the little girl, Secoria, had been in a car with her mother and her friend when they tried to enter a parking lot near the Wendy's. A group blocked the entrance to the parking lot, and at least one person in the crowd started shooting at the car, the police said. Nah, because I also know that the report was they weren't letting fucking white people into that bitch. You understand? So this supersedes that. Nah. And the person in the crowd started shooting at the car. The police said. So they said at least one person in the crowd. So you don't have at least one statement from somebody in the crowd that corroborates this bullshit you're trying to sell upon us? Again, we're in the second article. Not a single witness statement, everybody. Not a single witness statement. And no identification of a suspect or a fucking license plate. Oh, wait. The city announced a $10,000 reward. That's so fucking nothing. It's a crime spree, and you only give a $10,000 reward. Another tall tale fact. Seems that if it's such a spree, that means somebody you really need to get these groups off the. So let's raise to 100,000. 10 lousy grand? Nah, bitch. Nah. You know what I'm saying? The evidence is in the money right there. Even the city announced a $10,000 reward. As her family pleaded for anyone who could identify the shooter to come forward. Never gonna happen. Call the police department. They know who it is. We didn't mean no harm, her mother, Chairman Turner, said in the news conference on Sunday, crumpled in a chair, her eyes hollowed by grief. My baby didn't mean no harm. Somebody knows something. Another shooting broke out nearby later on Sunday. The police said killing one person. The restaurant was burned down in the protest touched off by Mr. Brooks's death. Some activists had started sketching out plans to turn the site into a community center for youth programs, legal aid, entrepreneurship classes, and parental counseling. I want to stop and say this too, because all the footage I've seen from the location, everybody, you have vendors that have set up, people are selling t-shirts, people going there to just take pictures. I don't know what channel I saw it on, but the scene was very they were being very protective of it. It was seen as hallowed ground and don't come near us. So nobody would have been opening fire on anybody black. A white devil, maybe. You understand? But we wouldn't have been opening fire on nobody black. Period. The end. Just wouldn't have happened. Unless you're going to tell me some of these victims were not black. Which that's not possible, because if they were non-black, then we would have license plate numbers and we would have somebody in custody and they have leads on everything. You understand? This is how I know the police are staging this shit. Them and their fucking white devil ass counterparts who don't wear uniforms. In a videotape statement, organizers condemned the shooting. Fuck that. And said the activists had no involvement in it. We stand with you and are here for you, the organizer said, offering their support to her family. They added that the violence only underscored the value of the kind of center they envision. It only affirms the urgent need, they said, for healing and peace in this community as we continue to be targets of trauma and violence by the fucking white devil. But the violence prompted city officials to close off the parking lot, which had drawn protesters for weeks after Rayshard was killed. On Monday, city workers cleaned out the posters, candles, and stuffed animals that had been left behind. You see? Create chaos and you're ready with an answer. This is fucking white people, and it's time for us to hand them their ass. You understand? That's what's real, everybody. They know it, not fucking know it. The violence has put the Bottoms, the Keisha bitch, in what has become a familiar position, standing before cameras addressing her city in deeply personal terms as long simmering tensions boil over. Somebody needs to call her off and say, bitch, you need to wake up. You understand? You don't know your fucking people. As protests turned violent after the death of George Floyd in the custody of Minneapolis, no, they didn't. Only white people. That's why I say you cannot have these fucking people marching with you at fucking all. Even one is a fucking anthrax. Even one.
Colon cancer.
It's that serious, everybody. You can't have even one of these fucking people around you. Not one. You need to really hear that. So the protests didn't fucking turn violent. They were hijacked by white, violent fucking savages. Matter of fact, can I access this? I'm pushing it. Oh, it's worth it, Jedi. Boom. And big shout out to my beloved brother Kai, who had sent me this sometime back when the shit was still breaking out. Here you have Exhibit A, everybody. White devils. In the middle, you have our people who did not bring rocks. But this white devil over here in the neon damn vest, and this is boy, another white devil over here in the neon hat. They brought in the shopping cart of rocks. The prosecution rests. You understand? That's who's bringing violence to these damn protests. That's why you do not allow them among you.
You lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas.
You don't allow them among you. And if they really give a damn, they will understand that. You'll say no, because when people like that look like you are amongst us, shit starts. So if you really care about us, you'll take your bitch ass 6 blocks over and do shit on our behalf. Appreciate you. You could text us. You feel me? If you just feel that that's convicted and invested. But take your shit. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. I'm over it. Now, violence. Okay, the bitch. All right, as protests turned violent, she went on television to urge calm after demonstrators vandalized downtown buildings. Well, you know how we feel about that. Feel me? We're glad we vandalize in buildings and not come to your fucking house. Pick one. Vandalized downtown buildings and set a police vehicle ablaze. The powerful moment, which was broadcast repeatedly on local television and radio stations, elevated her profile across the country. So much so that she was named as a possible running mate for presumptive Democratic nominee and failure and fucking Alzheimer's sufferer, Joe goddamn bitch ass Biden. She appeared again. Okay, I don't care about her dossier. On Sunday night, she held another news. Who gives a fuck? She's saying all the wrong things. Nobody cares. Monday, the Journal-Constitution reported Monday that 93 people had been shot between May 31st and June 27th, compared to 46 during the same period last year. 14 people were killed, which were more than twice the number of homicides during the period in 2019. So all of a sudden, just ramp up at the holidays. Nah, this is white people, everybody. Know the hand. An 8-year-old boy, an 8-year-old baby, the mayor said, being dramatic, I'm sure. If you want people to take us seriously, you want us to lose this movement, in other words, you want us to look good in front of massa, that's what my ears see, then we can't lose each other in this. Miss Bottoms added, her exhaustion evident in her face and her voice frightened with emotion. It's got to stop. It has to stop. Good. Then you tell white people to go the fuck away from us then. And you will see, oh my God, it stopped overnight. It's a miracle. Last one, and then my crescendo. Georgia governor declares state of emergency, activates National Guard over deadly Atlanta shootings. I don't really need to read all this. This is just going to be a bunch of cerebral nonsense that I don't really need to get into right now. Look, peaceful protests were hijacked by criminals with dangerous, destructive agenda. Nah. The guardsmen will be assisted to protect state buildings and the bullshit. Nobody cares. What's this? This is, you shot and killed a baby, she said, and there wasn't just one shooter. There were at least two shooters. But no witnesses. This is done by white people, everybody. Will they focus on bitch-ass police? Because ask yourself, who can commit a crime and it never be found out? The very people that would investigate the crime. You understand? That's who. It's kind of like firefighters. Certainly out in California, they set fucking fires. There's always a fire out there, dude. Somebody's raising the, and I even saw, I saw 2020 or 60 Minutes or something on a fucking firefighter who had lost everything, and they were his fat ass bitch ass wife for sitting up there, and they were white, of course, and he was setting fires. You set fires, you got to get more hours. You see? This is so basic. But here is my final closing argument, everybody. And indeed, whenever this came onto my radar, when it began to sort of, I'm seeing something, something happened, something about shooting, something, and then, oh, lo and behold, there was a YouTube video from Fox Goddammit News. And this is the shot they opened up with. Sadly, they did this before the eyes of the Jedi. Because while the white bitch is talking, and they're showing you this father walking across the street in New York City with his innocent little baby, and she's a princess, no doubt. They show us this. And look, they've drawn an arrow and say, shooter. While they're telling you violence has broke out all across the country, everybody. But what's right in front of you that you don't see? I'll give you 10 seconds. 9.
Police car.
8.
A police car.
7.
Oh my God.
6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Do you see it? Do you see it? I always tell you, you want to hide something, put it right out in the open. No need to sequester it. No need to put it in a safe. You want to hide something, put it right out in the open. Nobody will see it.
You can see on the side, you can kind of see the
Do you see it?
You see the model of it.
And I want you to be very honest. When you leave your comment down below, just be honest, because I just want to know if you saw it or if you didn't see it. There's no wrong answer here, everybody. We just want the truth.
Definitely a police arm sticking out.
Just the truth. That's only and always our pursuit. What is the truth? But do you see it? Use the two eyes that Allah has given you. They're the most visually perceptive thing on the planet. I don't care how many pixels and HD you get, and Blu-ray, and the perfection sits right in your head. Your two eyes. Look closely. Do you see it? Do you see it? It's right in your face. And they know what I know. Put it right out in the open, and nobody will see it.
We wouldn't see it because we think white
I've given you
is
a
right.
10-second countdown and then some. Look closely. They've blurred the license plate on the car, that they have a clear, objective view to the fucking license plate. While they're showing you there's a gun out the window and oh my God, they're about to be shot. Why would you protect the license plate of this bitch?
It looks like one of those.
Seems that would be the most important thing. And in this video, not only were they shot, but we also have the license plate caught by surveillance camera. But they've blurred it out. That means you're trying to protect somebody.
And that's a white arm. That's a white arm.
What other reason would there be to blur this out? Huh?
That's a white person.
Huh? And now you're into complicity from the media.
Mm-hmm. The media then told on themselves.
Because maybe they ran the license plate and, ooh, we can't show that. We don't know if the media sourced this picture on their own or if it was given to them by the fucking police, which is where all the other evidence has come from across the country. Not a single witness statement. Not a single witness statement. Not one. But the moment I saw this, that sealed my case. New York City man shot dead walking with 6-year-old daughter. And again, there's a child involved some kind of way. Even though apparently the child wasn't hurt or killed. But everything we've heard has been children, for the most part. And in this one, it's the adult who's with a child. I don't care what you want to tell me. I have prosecuted my evidence in this case. There is no doubt that this spree of murders has been carried out by white people,
And you can see
primarily
the arm color.
police, out of uniform, and various other white vigilantes who want to make it appear that violence has broken out and you need to keep these police in place. And don't mess with their money or their qualified immunity. This is the final proof. This is it. There's no other reason to blur this license plate. And let us also understand that there's another vehicle in the frame, which you couldn't make out the license plate anyway, but there was no attempt to blur it. So it wasn't like this was some automatic software that's blurring license plates. No. This is deliberate. Here you have a bird's eye view of the license plate of this car. And indeed, the make of it, because, you know, the other stuff that would be on it. So, because this is bigger than just the license plate. But it's been blurred out. It's been blurred out.
And
when that would be the very thing that you would want to start with in solving just this case alone. They've told us about the other cars and all the other stuff in the other cases, but here you have a picture in New York City, by the way, which is one of the most surveilled cities in this damn country. Most cameras, most facial recognition, and anything else you're going to name. And here you have a picture where the license plate has been blurred out. The shit is on purpose. This proves my entire case. You need to go and watch the link that I've provided below, everybody. As I speak, I can tell you that I may do more than one link, but you need to be familiar with this brother, Grandmaster J or something like this. He understands what I understand. He speaks in the language that I speak in. You understand? Just to give you an example, he even talks about how when he mentions black and brown in one of the videos, he stops and says, I object to this black and brown thing, but you've heard me say that. I've said they don't got no receipts. Nobody else is suffering the way that I do, that we are. Stop lumping other people's shit with ours, and on down the list I've gone and I've ranted. And he said, black is in a class all of its own. Period. He's not on board with this black and brown because our stuff gets lost in the shuffle and doesn't become about just black people. You've heard me say that a million times. That's just one example. He also quotes my king, Malcolm X, the way that I do. You understand? Drawing on the contrast and so forth. Oh, yes. And he's one of the people that was outside of the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery's house. Him and his crew with their guns. They're all ex-military. You understand? And what he's describing sounds a lot like what I had planned for the Black Independence Liberation League. At least one sector of it. And that gave me great hope. That gave me great hope. There's some things I feel like I should meet with him. Maybe he will know who I am someday or something, you know. I know that I have something to contribute, you know, whatever. But I probably do something separate on just that alone. But you definitely need to watch the links that I've provided down below and be inspired by this brother. And understand, he also makes the distinction between weak-ass Negroes, people that don't have the heart of the lion in their chest, that aren't ready to strike on this devil, and those of us that do. He makes a very strong contrast, and I love that. I love that. He gave me much of my life watching and listening to him. Because one of the videos, it's all audio. It's another interview, I believe, and then the other one is a visual. You know, it's him on camera being interviewed by some other guy, and it's a regular video. But I also take issue with the guy that's interviewing him. If you listen down to his tone and his questions, I don't know if this brother Grandmaster J is aware of it, because he seems to have great love for this brother. But the dude that's asking the questions is not somebody that would be acceptable to me. I must tell you. His questions, his line of question are all very white devilish. You understand? The types of things he wants to know, the types of details. And then his whole demeanor suggests, not to suggest to me, tells me that he doesn't have the heart of the lion. He's a coward. He is. You understand? When I used to interview people for the Black Independence Liberation League, when I would Skype with them one-on-one, when I'm looking at demeanor and tone and character and personality, assessing, I know who had the line, who had the heart of the lion, and who didn't. And you need people that understand the vision and are ready to take it there. And as I told you, the only true star that stood out was my brother Kai. He had all of it. All of it. Because you also need a certain intellectual gravitas to be preloaded, and the brother has that. So I want you to be very observant of the person that's interviewing him, in the one where you can see them actually, you know, it's not just a picture and then you hear the vocal. That's one of them. But the other one that I want you to pay most attention to is the one where this brother is on camera and the interviewer is on a split screen and he's interviewing him. You understand? Oh yes, the Jedi does his work. So, and I've done that in this piece. As I say, these killings are being carried out by white vigilante, just everyday white devil, and certainly police as well. Because if it was just white vigilantes, then, well, they probably still wouldn't investigate it, you know. But if they did, then we would at least have more detail than we've been able to extract from 3 freaking articles about this thing across the country.
And white devils that have you on unsolved mysteries, and your death will be undetermined. That's usually the way, the American way, family. I hate to put it as blunt as that, but that's the truth, and that's the whole truth of our reality. And we have to face it and recognize that we can't allow these people to keep making us villains, making our people out to be villains. I already see the distinction between BLM and our people that are like myself out here really wanting liberation from whiteness. BLM is the one that's going to villainize our people, our own people, because the group is made of lesbians, gays, LGBTQ, obviously. And we've seen their hand already. Billy Porter, anyone? Whenever publicly go out and speak against your own, something is up. Something is up. That's a big thing to look out for. And I'm going to share one more thing with you guys real quick. Let me see. I'm going to share this one more thing with you guys right quick. This is Black Hot Fire Network with Keith Newsom. Please join his website. It's going to be a good show on there this weekend. Please donate to help him keep the lights on, because what he has done is he has a radio station that connects the African diaspora. So please help that brother out, and let me share with you the website. I actually shared it in the chat, but I'm going to go to the website so you can know what it looks like. Oops. This is it right here. Black Hot Fire. You would log in, or to make a login. Let me see if it'll let me do it. This is the login screen for me. I'll log in there, or it'll let you create a login. Okay, I'm logged in now, and then I would see, you would go somewhere here, but you have to make your username and password when you go here. And then you should be able to get the podcast videos, and when you go to, basically if you go to, where do I have to go? Get to the radio station. There's one of these you go to get to the radio station. Let me check it out. And you can chat in this radio station. And you can go here to donate, to support this brother. Hold on, I think it might be videos. It might be videos. It could be African vlog. I think it's the African vlog. But let's check this. It's either videos or the African vlog. But whatever case, you just scroll down. You can catch a lot of his videos on there that he has done. As you can see, I didn't see the video station. So it must be under the other one. So it's not the African vlog. It's not the videos. It must be the podcast. Let me see. Okay. Oops. Okay. There we go. Here it goes. Here it goes. Shows. So this is where the radio station. The radio station. Let me see if I can find where the Black Hut. Okay. Here. This is the radio station. Let me see if you can click on that and you can hear the music and stuff. But that's going to be separate from the chat. So let me see something. I'm just maneuvering through here. But usually, I guess there'll be a link. There'll be a link under here somewhere for the radio station on that day. But this is where you can come and chat. This is where we come and chat. Now I have the radio station somewhere else. Let me see something. Let me try this. This is mine. Welcome to Fresh and Flow. Okay. Is this it? This is also the Facebook. This is the Facebook. All right, family. That's it. but that's how you're gonna get to the chat. You go to the show, and you should be able. If you go to the show, once you get to the chat, you should be able to get to the radio station as well. So I just forgotten what I did last time. Let me see if it's down here somewhere. Facebook again. It's Facebook again. All right, family. Thank you all for being here. Hey, Sekmat Ra. Yeah, we really have to throw religion in the trash. We have to throw religion in the trash. I agree with that. But we got to realize that all religions are about us as Black people. We know that. I know you know that. You're Sekmat Ra. I know you know that. I know that you know that those principles that and everything about us is hidden within those religions. And some of our people, I can understand the brother being attracted to it, because I told this story about me living in Bahrain and how I was a Christian at the time, but because I'd never been abroad before, and I seeked myself, I looked for who we truly were as a people, and I found that in Islam when I was over there. With the limited knowledge that I did have, I knew one thing: my ancestors had been, and that what they were doing was they took the place of my ancestors, and that was okay. But they made it into something and totally different than what we were. We were more connected with the spirituality of everything, which is the knowledge of how we connect to the afterlife, even though we're in the physical. And the things that we needed to keep balanced with the unseen, which is the planet, the world, nature, and ourselves. We had to keep balance with that. But of course, as we know, the motive of the devil was to wipe it all out of us and to feed us a little cheesy, peasy Jesus peace. So we know better now. But he uses it to his benefits. So it's great. I don't call it a religion, what my brothers and sisters do with it, because they do something bigger than what religion would ever do. And the white people, they practice religion. They want to feed us religion. But our brothers and sisters, they do something different. So most of them, but the ones who eat from the plate of the devil, they're in religion. So let's see. So with that said, family, thank you for joining. Always remember, true love, real peace, our higher self within ourselves that allow us to balance against the wickedness of this world and know the difference between the two. Love and peace. Till next time.